Hey everyone, it's Will from the Mina Foundation team. The purpose of this recording is to demonstrate exactly how the votes were calculated as part of Cohort 1, and we will also share the spreadsheet afterwards, so you will be able to see in a little bit more detail and click through the process. The date is April 4th. It's 1 o'clock European time. Calling to you from sunny Portugal, which is amazing. And I just want to say for anybody who's watching this, whether if you were funded, congratulations. If you weren't funded, just want to say thanks for all of your time and effort and energy that was put into this process over the last few weeks. And we hope that we can find a way to keep you building in the Mina ecosystem and contributing in the way that you have. The time is really appreciated, and while not every project can get funded as part of Cohort 1, we're hoping that there are many other ways to stay active and to keep building. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I will talk you through how these results have been calculated. I've already done this once in preparation, but I'm going to be starting from scratch, so you can see here. On the first tab, we have the process. This was the message that was sent on Discord yesterday, April 3rd. As a reminder, all projects that receive equal or above their funding targets will be marked as funded. Remaining projects with 5,000 or higher in elector funding will be funded in order of closeness to target. And if there's excess budget after that, then we'll remove the $5,000 threshold, and the remaining projects will be funded in order of closeness to target until the threshold is met. There wasn't a perfect way to do this, and this is the first iteration. So if you see a flaw in the process that you think could be beneficial to change or an easy opportunity to improve for Cohort 2, please let us know. And even more importantly, if you see a flaw in the process for how we've calculated the results for Cohort 1, please also let us know. I'm going to start with the zk app track here. And you can see I've put in all of the data, which is in row 1 here. I'm going to try to use as little keyboard shortcuts as possible so you know what I'm doing. So bear with me as we make this work. This is a direct download from the platform. You can see we have the standard budget here, the advanced budget, total funding received. This is from actually like the final results from the electors, so these figures. This is a column that I have entered called priority eligible, which means is it eligible to be topped up as part of this step 2 here. You can see budget to standard, deficit to standard budget, deficit to advanced budget, electors who voted, grant type, and grant amount. These two I will fill in, whether it's standard or advanced in terms of the grants that are met, and then the amount, and this will help me calculate how much we have left as we go through the process. So as a first step, I'm actually going to fill out the priority eligible column. I'm going to do just an if statement. If this cell here is greater than or equal to 5,000, we'll do food, then we'll print yes. If no, we'll print no. And we'll go there. Okay, and again, this is just to do some simple filtering. We'll see here, just a quick check. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, looks okay. Now I'm going to create a filter here. I'm going to pull this down so everyone can see. And right off the bat, I'm going to filter to the lists that are priority for the projects that are priority eligible. Okay. Next up, I'm going to create the deficit to standard budget. We'll see here, so CTA. And so I want to see right away the ones that have met or exceeded their budget requests. As we go through, I'm going to highlight each row green that has met this. So it looks like we have 4 projects here that are funded. And I'm going to check across if they were standard or advanced. In this case, it looks like they're all standard. So we'll do standard, and then I'll pull over their amounts. Here. Okay. You can see so far at the bottom, we've got a sum of 31,000. Okay, now we're going to get into all of the projects that weren't funded outright, but are still eligible via the 5,000 or greater threshold. And we're still going to do this just specifically to standard deficit to standard budget. So I know just from having done it before, I'll do through these just as a quick check. Okay. If we were to sum up these grants here, this would be 170,000. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. If we do the full sum here, this would be 244,000. So all of these are under the successfully funded. And then it looks like the next up would be this project, but unfortunately, we go back to, we have 244,000, which leaves about a $5,000 delta. And this project requires 30,000. This project requires 25,000, and this project requires 47,000. So none of these 3 left on the priority list of projects that have received over 5,000 in funding are eligible. So now I will check projects that are not on the priority list as well. I'll also filter out the projects that receive no funding, as that was another secondary criteria. Okay. And I'm going to still sort descending there. So if we go back again, we have about a $5,000 budget left to fill. I guess we could say roughly 6,000. And we can go back to if any of these projects are eligible. Unfortunately, 10,000, 15,000, 15,000. The rest are all greater. So the budget for the ZK app track will, for now, will be capped at 244,059. And you can see here that we have, if we do a count, 13 projects funded. Okay. I'm going to follow the same process for dev. Okay. So the first step will be it's greater than or equal to 1,000. Yes. No. Okay. Then we will just do a quick check. Yes, no, yes, 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 yes. Okay, looks like it to me. And I'm going to create a filter. Okay. Then I'm going to filter out the projects that are not eligible. Then we are going to, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. We'll do sort by deficit standard budget. And we'll do the same thing that we did before. Okay, so it looks like in this case, this team has been actually funded to the advanced budget. So we'll write advanced, and we can see their advanced budget is here. As a reminder, we're not funding projects directly to the amount that they receive. Instead, we're funding them to which tier that they have been hit. In this case, it is identical. Then we'll go to our panic. Here, it looks like they have hit the standard budget. I'm going to come back to this one because their deficit to the advanced budget is also in play. And I can see already that from my previous calculations, but also here that their advanced budget is going to be eligible. So I'll come back to this one and I'll show you how. As a reminder, projects can only get topped up through the priority list once, but because this project has already met their funding budget, they're eligible for the priority list strictly for the advanced budget. I'll keep going down the list here. Okay, their standard budget here. So I just got a message from Google asking me if I was still here. I'm still here. So I'll go standard. And I know just from going through this, I can see standard, standard, standard. All of these projects hit their budget mark outright. Okay. Now we get into the priority list. If we were to just, not counting our panics, but if we were to include the standard budget, let's just use his as an example here, it would be 152,000. So there's about 98,000 or 91,200 left over for the priority list. So it's a little bit less than what we saw in the zk app track. But we'll go by the budget deficit here. So go standard, 10,000 here. Standard, 8,900 here. Standard, 1,000 here. Standard, 15,000 here. Do a quick check on what our sum is there. So it's still have, okay. You can see now the next drop down is between negative 5,000 and 16,000. So this is where I'm going to, and I know this from previous calculations, this project is now eligible to be topped up to the advanced budget. As their deficit is 8,000, this one is, we just topped up to 5,000, and the next one on the list is 16,000. So in this case, Nord is eligible, and we will do 49,000 here. Oh, excuse me. Where does that bring us? Okay, we have 208, but we have about 41,000 and some change left. We can see that this project is under that amount. They get topped up. And where does this leave us now? 233,250. Okay. So here we can see the next project is 25,000. That would exceed the 250K mark. And the same thing for 96,000. So this is where we remove the priority eligible tag. We go here. Let me just filter really quick to create colors so we can come back to it. Okay, we're going from here. We're going to unfilter again. If we unfilter again, I'll sort again. And then finally, we'll remove the 0. Okay, here we go. And now you can see if we're going strictly based off of this number, have ICER design, capture the flag, see what our delta is one more time. Yeah, about 233,000. So this project would then get bumped up. Standard 3,000. Okay. So the next project on the list would have to be 7,000 or 6,750 or less in terms of what to be funded. And you can see here out of all the projects that got at least some funding, this would not be eligible. Okay. There's one last change that I'd like to suggest, which is if we were, both of these projects are coming back in at 243,000. In this case, 244,000. So I've done a bit of math. And if you add the kind of deficit across both tracks, it comes out to 12,691. And I would like to kind of fund one project, whichever is closest, given that surplus across both projects. So within zkApp and within Dev for Dev, there aren't eligible projects, given that the budget is less. But if we combine those, those surplus amounts, those excess amounts together, get 12,691. That leaves us room to maybe fund at least one more project. In this case, we can see the closest to target or the standard deficit to the standard budget. If this project is 8,000, that's the best, that's the closest on the zkApp track remaining. And on the Dev for Dev track, we can see that the closest is 9,000 remaining. So I'm going to take that 12,000 and I'm going to allocate 10,000 of it to this project here, which is zkDID. I'll say here, standard. I'll say 10,000 here. So that would take us to 254,059. And on this side, 243,250. Okay, so once again, we will if you're watching this, you'll also have access to the file. It will be view only because we don't want people to be modifying the data, but you can make a copy and you can do the math on your own. And I just want to say again that while this was the first time and there's so many interesting and exciting projects that are getting funded, we really feel for all of the people who put in time and effort and did not end up getting funding as part of this process. And we're actively thinking about ways to not only keep the momentum going for Cohort 2, but also find other ways for people to get involved and amend the process. Okay. Well, thank you very much for watching, and please let us know if you have any questions, concerns, comments, or if you have any suggestions for how we can evolve the process for the future. Bye.